Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and today I'd like to talk about communication. Now, when I looked in for the root meaning of the word communication, it comes from the word communis, which means to share and to make common. And when I looked in for the meaning of the word communication, it meant to share information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And in my understanding, I think to some degree we've messed up the art and the technology of communication. Or maybe since we so commonly use it, we've ignored it to a great extent. Or maybe since it's far too complex, we've just taken the other extreme end and oversimplified it. Forgetting to look at the nuances, forgetting to look at the details of this beautiful technology that we use every day. Wherein, in a world in which we live in, where everything is about brevity, where more than half the time we are saying, tell me in brief, present this to me in brief, we have ignored and failed to look at the details. And that's pretty unfortunate because, in my understanding, to some degree, the beauty lies in the details. And in our rushed state of living and in our attempt to make everything brief, for everything to be presented in brief, we have ignored and forgotten to pay attention to the details. And if I were to put it in Hindi, it would mean, hum dhyan dena bhool gaye. And dhyan or attention can mean both focus and meditation as well. Or it can mean focused meditation or meditative focus as well. And quite naturally, what we've not paid attention to invariably implies that we've not given it the importance that it deserves. That it's probably not even that important for us, till of course it's taken away. So in order to make this video, I'd asked a lot of people as to what do they think that in the movie PK and the other extraterrestrial were trying to decode. And a lot of people stated the very obvious, which was with regards to institutionalized, organized religious groups. Some people even replied as to how religion has been made fun of in that particular movie. Some people even said that they've not watched the movie, so they really can't comment on it. Some people quite honestly said they did not know. Somebody also humorously said that why do you ask questions that are out of the syllabus? But barring one, there was nobody in my personal understanding who had paid enough attention to notice that PK, along with extraterrestrials, when they returned back after a year, had come to do research on the way we communicate, on our communication. So no pun intended, and yet at the same time, pun intended. This thing is so commonly used in our syllabus. It's a part of the syllabus of life, of our everyday life, that we take it so for granted that we almost forget about it. Which is like the thing is so right in front of us that we even fail to take notice of it. We don't even observe it. Quite naturally, we are not curious about it. And when we are not curious about it, we don't even bother to learn about it. And in his own words, he says, "Yahan ka sabse bada confusion hai bhasa." The biggest confusion of this planet is language, is the mode of communication, the way and the manner of communication. So when we hear, not listen, but when we hear people say, our kids don't listen to us, when kids and youngsters say that our parents don't understand us because they don't listen to us, when teachers say that students don't listen, when students say that teachers don't listen, when friends say that I feel misunderstood, when partners say that my partner or my spouse doesn't listen to me, when all of us feel unheard because nobody cared to listen, when misinterpretations and miscommunications happen not just on the home frontiers, but even across borders, should we not become a little more mindful? Should we not want to pay a little more attention, a little more dhyan into being understood and also understanding somebody else? Should we not look into the details as to why miscommunication happens? Which in my understanding is exactly what all types of counselors, all types of therapists, and all types of coaches have been trying to say. That the gap in communication leads to conflicts, leads to disharmony. And if any kind of a conflict is to be resolved, we've got to go to the root of the problem, which started with communication gap, with not being attentively heard, with not feeling cared for, with feeling neglected, with feeling ignored, which quite naturally builds up mistrust and is a way forward for every kind of conflict, be it at the home front or the war front. A war that can be a cold war where resentment festers, or a war that's explosive. And the results of both of the wars are dramatic, chaotic, and devastating. Now let's assume that we go to a doctor wherein we want to address our concerns, but the doctor is least concerned in listening to our concerns. The doctor doesn't pay attention and thereby doesn't listen to us, and thereby to some degree completely ignores and even dismisses us. Would we choose to go to such a doctor ever after that? Would we even provide a reference of such a doctor to somebody else? I personally am not sure if I would do that. So which makes me think and which makes me question as to if on some deliberate conscious level of ourselves, we choose to engage with people who care enough to listen to us, who care enough to pay attention to us, and vice versa. What is it about our subconscious, what it is about our unconscious that essentially functions on familiarity, that chooses to ignore the obvious, that chooses to not pay attention, that chooses to not listen to the obvious, that chose to ignore such a profound message that was so beautifully and subtly communicated through this movie. It would have only registered with us had we not taken the skill and the art of communication for granted. Had we realized the details and the importance of this beautiful art and technology that we have with us, that we use every day of our lives, that we even transfer on to the others, that can bridge the communication gap, that can help in repair, that can help in building more attuned relationships, that can enhance connectivity both on intrapersonal and interpersonal levels. Unless, of course, on some subconscious, unconscious level, resolution is not our core value. Connection is not our core value. Conflict and disconnection is our core value rather than peace and connectivity. Let's try and not turn a blind eye to the things that are very obvious. Let's try and get curious about our skills of communication, about our art of communication, and let's try and get better at developing those skills. Let's try to listen a little more carefully, because in the word carefully itself is the word care, and it's only when we care can we really connect. Let's try and pause a little bit over there. Let's try and reflect on all of those aspects. And I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, please do like, share, and subscribe.